Hey guys, happy Thanksgiving. Hope it's a great one. Enjoy this time of rest and family and fellowship and fantastic food. Make sure you're wearing your sweatpants because it's gonna get heavy today, people. It's gonna get heavy. Today we are in chapter 4 of Philippians. We're coming in on the end of our study through Philippians, so let's make sure we finish strong. Today we're going through chapter 4, verses 1 through 7. I'm not going to go over all of it. There's some parts I'm just going to kind of touch on, but I'm really going to focus on the end. Start off, Paul says, "My beloved brethren, whom I long to see, my joy and crown, in this way stand firm in the Lord, my beloved." So he's saying stand firm in light of everything that he just got done talking about. So everything that we've been studying over the last week and a half, that's what he's saying to stand firm in. So stand firm in what Christ did, stand firm in being able to find joy in every situation. He's saying stand firm in all of this. And in light of all that he talked about, that's what you should be standing firm in. And then verses 2 and 3, he talks about two women who apparently had a conflict that was so well known that Paul had heard about it, even though he wasn't in Philippi. And so he's writing and saying, be in harmony, right? So resolve this issue, be in harmony. And he says in the next verse, he asks everybody else in the church to also help in that process as well, to help reconcile those two together, which is a good insight to us in the fact that when we have conflict with other believers, that we need to resolve that conflict. You don't need to stay, don't need to be keeping anger. We need to resolve those conflicts in a Christ-like way. Verses 4 through 7 is really what I want to focus on today, though. Verse 4 says, "Rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I will say, rejoice." So this is a famous verse, but we know this verse is important because it's telling us no matter what situation, no matter if life is going well, life is going bad, we need to be rejoicing in the Lord, finding joy in the Lord always. Verse 5, "Let your gentle spirit be known to all men, the Lord is near." So this gentle spirit that's referring to is a Christ-like spirit, the spirit of grace. It's a spirit of love, and it's saying to let that spirit be known to all men. So not a spirit of anger or jealousy or anything like that. It's a spirit of gentleness. So we are being loving, kind, and gracious to the people around us, and that is a great way to impact this world for the Lord because it's so countercultural. Verse 6, "Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God." So this is how we should be praying. So he's saying don't worry about tomorrow, don't worry about things, don't worry what's coming up, but instead go to the Lord in prayer and supplication with thanksgiving to let your requests be made known to God. And now notice how it says with thanksgiving. So it's not saying just go to God with, I want this, I want this, I want this, but it's go to God and say, God, if you could lay your hand on this, lay your hand on this, and I want to thank you for all that you have done. And so you're constantly giving thanks to God for the grace that he has shown you, and then asking God for more grace and for more good favor. That's incredibly important when we go in to speak to God in prayer, because we need to make sure that we are always conscious of what God has done for us in our lives up to that point. And by being conscious of that, that kind of can apply to the next verse, which I think is one of the best verses in the Bible about prayer. And it says this, "And the peace of God, which surpasses all comprehension, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." And I love this verse because it doesn't say, and after God says yes to your prayer, it doesn't say after God says no, it just says, "And the peace of God, which surpasses all comprehension, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." So he's saying, no matter what the outcome of that prayer, no matter if God says yes or if God says no to that prayer, you will still have the peace of God, right? And that's hugely significant for us because when you're going through a hard time, or whenever someone you know or someone you love is going through a hard time, maybe like a sickness, and you're praying for that person and praying for that person, and they pass away, that can be really hard to deal with because you're wondering, why is God letting this happen? Why did he let this person die? Why did he not save this person? And so, when you look at that, remember this verse and know that if you're doing it in the right way, if God doesn't answer a prayer in the way that you want, you can still have the peace of God. You may not be happy at that moment, but you can still have peace. You can still have joy in your relationship with God. And that will guard your hearts and guard your minds in Christ Jesus. So rather than falling into despair, instead you have the peace of God whenever things do go bad, whenever things do go wrong. So remember that whenever you're going to the Lord in prayer, you're talking about what you need from God, what you want from God, but you're also giving thanks to God in that process as well. And when you do this, and whenever things don't go the way you want them to, you can still have that peace of God which surpasses all comprehension. And that will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving. We will see you guys later.